Can I be heard?
Yes, Doc.
Yes,
Medyo,
sir.
be prepared for, baka mawala ako. But anyway naman, hindi naman nakakabit sa akin to because it's raining here in Binyan right now. Anyway, sige. So, let us begin. Um, can you flash your PowerPoint presentation, Javen? Your Canva?
It's splashed here already, Doc.
Not yet. Wala pa. Baka white pa lang siya.
Ah, yes, Doc. It's really white. That's the
Can
first
you get
slide.
your no, flash mo yung title page.
Okay, Doc.
Just the title page. Okay, sige. So, good evening to everybody. We're now here to listen to the thesis proposal of our candidate for the title Master in Business Administration, Mr. Javen Poblete. We would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Errol Ibanez, Engineer Ped Salvador as panel. I'll be functioning as the chair of the panel. I also would like to acknowledge the advisor of the candidate for MBA, Ms. D. Imperio. The title of the study is Ano Tara, but make it academic. Factors Gen Z higher education, factors driving Gen Z higher education institution enrollment as a basis for strategic marketing plan. Okay, Javen, you now have the floor. You may begin.
Thank you so much, Doc Vic. So good evening to my dearest panelists, Doc Errol, Engineer Ped, Dr. Vic, and to my advisor, Ms. D. So before I start, I would like to share a quick story about why I wanted to do this study. Okay, so every day in the field, I work on the front lines of student recruitments for the last 4 years. Okay, I spend hours listening to senior high school students, and basically they are the heart of Gen Z as they navigate one of the biggest and most overwhelming decisions of their lives, choosing where to study and which program is the best fit for them. So in our line of work, it is easy to look at the enrollment trends and see the demographics. But to me, this is incredibly personal because those are just data points. Those are voices because I've been hearing a lot of them. Okay, so that is why I conducted this research and I wanted to move past the guesswork and find the real data that will help the organizations build better bridges. Because when we understand what truly moves this generation, we don't just build a better strategic marketing plan, we actually help them build their future. So with that, okay, this is me, with all the work that I'm doing for the last 4 years. I am really in touch, with the Generation Z. So they are the ones choosing where to go and where to study, and of course, the best program that's fit them. Okay. So with that, how well do you know the Generation Z? Okay. So I would like to show you a very short clip highlighting how the current generation are navigating digital footprints. So I'll just put a little bit of the sound. So that's why with my title, there's Anotara. Okay, and apart from that, the Gen Z lingo, and I hope you've heard some already with your current students. Ayan, so that's why I would like to, of course, my dear panelists, I'd like to present to you my research title. That's Ano Tara. That's how you pronounce it, Doc Vic. And to everyone, again, let me repeat that. That's Ano Tara, but make it academic. That's factors driving Gen Z higher education institutions enrollment as a basis for a strategic marketing plan. So higher education is facing a recruitment crisis. Students are no longer influenced alone by brochures, open houses, or websites alone. Today's perspective, students are Gen Z, and they are digitally native, socially conscious, and highly skeptical. So to capture their attention, universities must master a complex new interplay of digital influence and authentic institutional values. So the higher education sector is experiencing an unprecedented demographic and cultural shift. all the prospective undergraduate market is now Gen Z. And basically, the Gen Z, unlike past generations, are born during the time when the internet is no longer a thing of the past. Okay, their decisions is in life are highly influenced and impacted by what they see, hear, and consume in social media, peer reviews, and online communities. So that's at the same time, universities are operating in a more competitive environment, okay, where traditional promotional strategies are experiencing declining returns and, of course, lesser ROIs. So the student recruitment process now consists of complex psychological and digital touchpoints, namely social media influencers, user-generated communication or the UGMC, the cognitive engagement of the student, and of course, the overall hedonic brand image. Many schools use a one-size-fits-all approach that ignores huge differences between public and private high school students who have completely different motivations, financial worries, and online habits. Instead of adapting, most universities are hurting themselves by pouring budgets into dead marketing. So ignoring social media influencers and out-of-touch messaging that turns students off, basically. And according to the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center, just recently this year, January, okay, so this failure has created a massive divide, no? While a few smart schools are growing, many others are facing shrinking enrollment and losing critical revenue. So higher education institutions have a pressing need for a validated strategic framework that explicitly maps how the different factors that drive Gen Z enrollment to survive the enrollment cliff. So it is important to investigate the relationship between the modern marketing inputs, such as the social media influencers, the user-generated social media content, cognitive engagement, hedonic brand image, and of course, the final enrollment decisions. More importantly, there is a need for a comparative analysis of behavioral differences of public and private school Gen Z students in higher education institutions. So deconstructing these differences allows marketing practitioners to run highly segmented, cost-effective, and culturally resonant recruitment campaigns that truly move the needle of a simple click to, and of course, an official enrollment. So this is my rationale. Shrinking student demographic, shifting digital habits, and the urgent financial pressure on higher education institutions to stay viable. Gen Z has completely rewritten the rules of marketing, and a major strategic gap remains in understanding how peer-driven digital signals such as, again, social media influencers, user-generated media communication, emotional appeal or the hedonic brand image, cognitive engagement dictate actual enrollment behaviors. And this study bridges that gap. So to address the strategic gaps identified, this study focuses on achieving the following objectives. First, to evaluate the direct impact that modern digital communication channels such as the social media influencers, user-generated media communications or the UGMC have on the enrollment intentions of prospective Gen Z students. To examine the connection between prospective students' cognitive engagement with digital university content and hedonic brand in their ultimate decision to enroll in a higher education institution. And apart from that, to isolate and compare the statistical differences in recruitment responsiveness, brand perceptions, and specific enrollment triggers between Gen Z students graduating from public schools and those from private schools. Okay, so higher education institutions face an uphill battle in attracting Gen Z to help colleges and universities optimize their recruitment strategies. And this study evaluates an integrated framework that brings together digital marketing inputs, ethical operations, and emotional branding. So specifically, the research explores how variables like social media influencers, user-generated media communication, cognitive initiative, hedonic brand image interact to drive Gen Z enrollment intentions. So ultimately, The goal is to uncover the unique decision-making triggers of the different student segments. So providing universities with a data-driven, actionable insight to boost enrollment. So with that, these are the statement of the problems that they created. First, what is the profile of the respondents in terms of the demographics? First is the current grade level, so grade 11 and grade 12. Current type of school, public school versus private school, and the prepared college or university program. Secondly, what is the profile of the respondents in terms of the following? Cognitive engagement, social media influencers, user-generated social media communication, hedonic brand image, and enrollment intention. Number 3, is there a significant relationship between cognitive engagement as my credibility, UGC authenticity, hedonic brand image, the enrollment intention of Gen Z students? And lastly, is there a significant difference in social media influencers, credibility, UGMC, or the user-generated social media content, cognitive engagement, hedonic brand image, and enrollment intention among Gen Z students when grouped according to high school sector, public, and private schools? Okay. So based on the inferential and comparative dimensions of the problem, the following research hypotheses are formulated to guide the statistical analysis. So I have alternative hypothesis. There's a significant relationship between cognitive engagement, SMI credibility, UGMC authenticity, hedonic brand image, the enrollment intention of Gen Z students. Also, there's a significant difference in social media influencers' credibility, UGMC, cognitive engagement, hedonic brand image, and enrollment intention among Gen Z students when grouped according to type of school, public, and private school. So this study will base its structural model on a comprehensive consumer behavior framework established by Raza, Zaman, Kabul, Alam, and or Rehem 2022. So specifically, the baseline model explores how modern digital marketing ecosystems, psychological absorption, and ethical metrics intersect to drive Gen Z's behavioral intention. So here are my independent variables. They're the factors driving Gen Z higher education institutions enrollment. We have cognitive engagement, social media influencer, user-generated social media communication, and hedonic brand image. And of course, our dependent variable is the Gen Z enrollment intention. And the result is basically creating a strategic marketing plan. And this study expands upon the baseline of Raza et al. Okay, that's the model, executing a comparative multi-group analysis to determine if the path coefficients and baseline construct score significantly differ between public school and private school of Gen Z segments. Okay, let's now proceed to the scope and limitation. So the research investigates how digital drivers, specifically, again, the social media influencers, UGMC, alongside with the students' own cognitive engagement and hedonic brand image, drive Gen Z's enrollment intention as according to Raza et al. Of 2022. So this study will be conducted within Metro Manila, Philippines during the 2025-2026 academic year. So these are the inclusion criteria. First, academic level. Respondents must be enrolled in grade 11 or grade 12 senior high school at the time of the data gathering for academic year 2025-2026. Students who are actively navigating college evaluation and decision-making process at the time of the study. Geographical location. Respondent must reside and study within the administrative limits of Metro Manila, which is the NCR. Institutional sector. Participants must attend either an official recognized public school, such as a national high schools or state university high schools, or a private school, such as a sectarian academies, non-sectarian schools, or an international schools. And for digital engagement, respondents must be active in social media users who are routinely interact with online content creators, digital platforms, or student-led digital communities. And these are our exclusion criteria. First is the ineligible academic level. Students currently in grade 10 or lower as they are too early in the university recruitment pipeline, as well as a college level students, including first year freshman college, since they have already finalized their institutional transitions. Outside geographical scope, any respondent studying or living outside of Metro Manila, regardless of whether they intend to enroll in university within the capital region. Alternative educational tracks, students enrolled in ALS, homeschooling programs, or non-traditional adult education tracks where the conventional public versus private recruitment dynamics do not directly apply. And lastly, lack of social media footprints. So individuals do not use social media or digital platforms, making it impossible for them to evaluate the core digital media variables. Okay, those are the variables as mentioned by in the framework of Praza et al. 2022. So these are the significance of this study. So this study serves as a practical blueprint of an institutional survival as a universities navigate the looming enrollment cliff. Okay, so specifically, this study will yield significant benefits of the following. First is the higher education administrators and university leadership. So this study provides concrete, data-driven evidence to move away from obsolete recruitment practices. Okay, it helps leadership understand that building an ethical and socially conscious campus environment, okay, is no longer just a regulatory box to check or a public relations requirement, but a powerful asset for attracting students. Also, the higher education institutions marketing directors and content practitioners. It will serve as a direct strategic guide for higher education marketing professionals looking to optimize their digital media budgets. Okay, it provides actionable insights into whether a university should invest in high cost, curated creators or build grassroots organic student brand advocate programs instead. Okay, also the findings of cognitive initiatives show content creators how to design highly engaging online spaces, such as a student-led interactive platforms and virtual communities that captures a prospect's attention and in a turn casual viewers into an applicant. Also, senior high school guidance counselors and student advisors. So this study helps high school counselors and advisors better understand the psychological triggers and the digital information ecosystems that their grade 11 and grade 12 students navigate during the college search processes. And apart from that, enables advisors to guide students towards evaluating universities based on authentic student feedback. Okay, so that's the UGMC, or the user-generated social media content, and genuine institutional values, ultimately helping high schoolers make more informed, well-aligned, and mature decisions for their academic futures. Also, we have the higher education institutions marketing and consumer behavior academics. So this study contributes to the expanding literature on modern consumer behavior and digital branding within emerging markets. And lastly, for future researchers, so this study serves as a foundational reference, and rich source of empirical data for future researchers, exploring the behavioral trends of Gen Z and upcoming cohorts like Gen Z Alpha. So later on, as we go on, the Gen Z Alpha will be the next. So this can be used by future researchers studying the Gen Z Alpha. So now let's proceed to the review of related literature. Okay. So this chapter is organized into 7 core thematical areas based on the adopted framework. Okay, cognitive initiative, social media influencer, credibility, the user-generated social media communication, hedonic brand image, and of course, the Gen Z enrollment intention. So it includes with an analysis of behavioral variances across public, private educational sectors, and a synthesis identifying research gaps. So the reviewed literature establishes a coherent theoretical framework for these studies recruitment model. So prior research validates that digital marketing such as the SMIs and the UGMC and then individuals' cognitive initiative serves as a strong indicator of consumer behavioral intentions. Similarly, the emotional appeal, which is the hedonic brand image, is essential for attracting socially conscious Gen Z demographic. However, existing higher education marketing literature contains a distinct strategic omission. There is a lack of empirical research that integrates these digital, ethical, and experiential variables into a single unified recruitment framework for higher education institutions. Furthermore, prior studies frequently treat Gen Z as a single, uniform demographic group, overlooking the behavioral, socioeconomic, and psychological differences between public and private high school graduates. And this study directly addresses these gaps by evaluating this complete framework and executing a comparative multi-group analysis within a higher education institution landscape of Metro Manila, utilizing the structural construct and conceptual pathways established by Raza et al. 2022. So let us now proceed to my research methodology. This is the chapter 3. So first is the research design, though this study will investigate the complex relationships driving Gen Z's enrollment behaviors. So this study adapts the quantitative, descriptive, correlational, and causal comparative, or the ex post facto research design. So for quantitative, this established the baseline profiles, digital habits, and baseline construct scores. And for the descriptive correlational, it maps and evaluates the structural pathways and predictive relationships established in the framework adapted from Raza et al. 2022. And apart from that is the causal comparative, or the ex post facto multi-group comparative analysis between two pre-existing distinct segments such as private and public schools. So for the respondents, as mentioned earlier, this comprises grades 11 and 12 senior high school students within the Metro Manila who are actively navigating college evaluation and enrollment decision-making process for 2026-2027 academic year. So to select participants from aggregate population, this study will utilize the purposive random sampling technique. So this is a hybrid sampling strategy executed in two distinct phases. First is the purposive phase. So there's a strict inclusion and exclusion criteria to isolate a qualified specific subpopulation. This ensures that all selected respondents are active social media users. And lastly, structurally divided by high school institutional types such as public versus private schools to satisfy the study's comparative multi-group framework. And in terms of the random phase, so the qualified pool of public and private senior high school students is isolated within the chosen administrative limits of Metro Manila. Random selection mechanism is applied to distribute the survey instruments, and randomization minimizes selection bias, ensures that every qualified student within the targeted segment has an equal probability of being chosen, and satisfies the statistical assumptions required to perform subsequent multi-variant analysis. So for my instrumentation, so primary tool for data gathering is structured survey questionnaire adapted from the comprehensive behavior framework established by Raza, Zaman, Kabul, Alam, and Oreman 2022. So these are the parts. So demographic profile, okay, cognitive initiative, this consists of 6 items, measuring the active cognitive effort, psychological absorption, and time spent thinking about the institution. Social media influencers consist of 4 items, evaluating the expertise, up-to-dateness, trustworthiness, and reliability of the digital creators. User-generated social media communication, or the UGMC, consists of 3 items, capturing satisfaction with peer-to-peer discussions and unpolished and authentic content posted by the actual campus residents. Hedonic brand image consists of 4 items, assessing the emotional appeal, okay, attractiveness, prestige, and character of the campus brand. Gen Z enrollment intention consists of 4 items, measuring the prospective student's explicit plan, desire, willingness to officially choose and enroll in an institution. So for validation of tools, so the individual survey items and skills are directly adapted from consumer behavior framework established by Raza et al. 2022. And the underlying instrument already possesses foundational construct validity. However, to guarantee that localized indicators successfully align with the specific higher education recruitment context of Metro Manila, the tool will be subjected to a two-tier verification process, such as expert content validation and at the same time empirical pilot testing. So for content validation, so pilot testing and construct validity, and apart from that is the internal consistency reliability. So for the ethical considerations, of course, we have the following: the scientific design and conduct of the study, recruitment of research participants, community considerations, care and protection of research participants, informed consents, and confidentiality issues. So for data gathering procedure, for the initial phase selection, approval from ethics committee, and the demographic profiles will be screened. Okay, and for the data collection phase, survey will be administered to the qualified Gen Z. So consent from outlining the voluntary nature of the study. Next is scoring the data gathered phase, so Likert scale items and statistical software input. And for analysis phase, this is the encoded data will be subjected to rigorous statistical treatment. And lastly is the review and final writing phase, and this is the interpretation. So next one is the statistical treatment of data. So these specific statistical techniques are mapped directly to the research problems as follows. So first, so this is the statement of the problem one. What is the profile of the respondents in terms of the demographics? So first, a statistical tool that I will be using is the frequency distribution and percentage. So this will be used to summarize and display the categorical demographic data. It will outline the structural distribution of the sample size across age brackets, grade level, 11, 12, and of course the high school sectors, public and private. And at the same time, mean and standard deviation. The mean and standard deviation will be computed for the age variable to summarize the central tendency and age variance of the target market. So for problem number 2, what is the profile of the respondent in terms of the following factors? So those are the factors mentioned. So this will be used to, first one is the weighted mean. This will be used to summarize the central response trend for each operationalized metric. Okay. Typically map against a Likert evaluation scale to categorize interpretations. Of course, at the same time, the standard deviation to this tool will accompany the weighted mean to measure response consistency and assess variance in how evenly distributed or fragmented Gen Z's baseline perceptions are across the target tracks. And for number 3, is there a significant relationship between cognitive engagement, social media influencer credibility, UGMC authenticity, hedonic brand image, the enrollment intention of Gen Z students? So the first tool that we'll be using here is the Pearson product moment correlation. So this bivariant analysis tool will measure the initial strength, direction, and significance of the linear relationship, directly matching the individual's independent inputs, okay, of those variables mentioned to the main dependent metric, which is the enrollment intention. Lastly is the multiple linear regression analysis. This is going beyond simple correlation. This tool will test the predictive validity of the framework. So it computes the coefficient determination to evaluate how much overall variance in Gen Z enrollment intention is driven by the digital and ethical inputs combined, while utilizing beta coefficients and p-values to establish which predictor exerts the strongest individual impacts on recruitment targets. And lastly, is there a significant difference in social media influencers and all the factors mentioned when grouped according to high school sector, public, and private schools? So I'll be using the independent samples t-test. So this parametric test is primarily tool used to check for variations between two mutually exclusive institutional pathways such as public and private schools. Comparing the mean scores of both groups across SMI reliance, UGMC authenticity, and enrollment intentions will determine whether the observed differences are statistically significant or merely due to a random sampling variance. So this is the survey questionnaire. Okay. So there. So these are the consent that was mentioned earlier as well. Okay, the current grade level, educational sector, prepared college university programs, and for us to also assess whether they are using any social media accounts. So do you have at least two of the following social media accounts? Okay, if yes, it will proceed to the survey, and then if no, it will proceed to the end of the survey. So that means they are not qualified. They're not qualified to answer the questions. So these are the questions until 28. Okay. And next, okay, so yeah, this is my research the survey questionnaire. It was I also emailed one of the authors of the who created the consumer behavior framework established by Raza et al. Was able to email him and ask for the whole copy, of the whole paper. So thank you so much for listening, our dear panelists. And as we always say, as a Gen Z, tara, there. Thank you so much.
Okay, Engineer Ped, would you like to start?
Doc Vic, tara, question na tayo.
Oh, Engineer Ped, yeah. Can you, I was waiting for Engineer Ped. Engineer Ped, would you like to start?
Okay. Good evening, Miss D and J-Ben.
Good evening, Doc.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Okay.
Doc.
Can we start from the beginning, J-Ben?
Sure, Doc. Go ahead.
I could not see your PowerPoint slide.
Okay,
Can you
lost the
bring it back?
slides.
Can you please bring it back?
Okay. First of all, I was impressed with your presentation, your PowerPoint slide, very clear, and the size of the words and and all the background that you have added is are all very clear. Now, I just want to ask some clarification, no, from the start to the finish. Now, the title of your thesis is something very new to us compared with all those students, both college and MBA. Now, assuming that you will be presenting in an international fora, a research fora, do you think your title will be understood by those foreigners that would be uh, would be there checking out all the things about your presentation, J-Ben?
I would say yes, Engineer Pen, because if that person will read the whole paper and he would understand that anotara. I feel like that's the this one, the Tagalog word that can be added to the definition of terms if possible. And that anotara is like encouraging you to anotara. Let's just do it. It's something like that.
Now, is there any English word for anotara so that there will be no problem understanding in an international fora, research fora? Because maybe next month or next 3 months, you will be sent to in other countries to represent South Bill. Many will
Um,
be asking you.
Yeah, for me, Doc, I don't think changing that anotara will be good in the paper because generally I am talking to the current generation of here in the Philippines. So if I will be presenting it to an international stage, then I would definitely discuss what's the meaning of Anotara first.
Okay.
Yeah, but
That,
changing it, Engineer Ped, would really would remove the whole point of why I use that Anotara.
okay. That's
Yes,
a
Doc.
good answer. Meaning, once you will be presenting in another country, the first thing that you have to explain to the audience is the meaning of the Tagalog word, right?
Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc.
Okay. Now another one. I'm just thinking whether to add a word decision. Factors driving Gen Z higher education institution enrollment decision as a basis for a strategic marketing plan. What can you say, Javen? Because that is a general statement. But how would you assure that that enrollment number is accurate? If you will add decision there, then you know that that is the decision of your respondent.
Okay. Yeah, I get your question, Engineer Pen. So, kasi like based on my study, it's not the actual enrollment, but this is like the enrollment decision or the enrollment intention. So that can be considered, Engineer Pen, if we are to
Okay.
add the enrollment decision or an enrollment intentions. Based on my study, I use the enrollment intention.
Because when you say just enrollment, then it's not
They enrolled.
it's not
Yes.
an output. It's not an
Yes.
output.
Yes, that's correct,
Okay.
Doc.
Okay.
Yes.
Next slide. Okay. In your introduction and in the background that you have stated in your paper, I'm looking for statistics. You always mention enrollment clip and shrinking enrollment. Do you have any statistics for both public and private school in NCR? Whether it's true that there is really a continuous shrinking of the enrollment of colleges, and I am also curious what courses or in general everything is declining, or maybe there are only some courses that are declining and shrinking, but not all courses in college and universities.
Yeah, as mentioned, Engineer Ped, in my introduction. So there's this from the National Student Clearinghouse Research Center. This was just released this year. This is January 15 of 2026. So there's a mention of like missing these shifts, institution risk leaving lucrative democratic pools and creating revenue on the table. And apart from that, there's also an additional information that was mentioned in the background of the study. Okay, hold on, let me just pull it out. Hold on, Doc. I'm just pulling out the information.
Gaben, my intention is I suggest
Like
you add infographics
infographics.
in your introduction or your background in order for the reader to understand that the one that you are telling us about shrinking enrollment in college and university as well as enrollment clip are justifiable if there is an
Alright.
infographic that would tell us that enrollment in general are really declining, or maybe there are only few courses that are declining and not a total of declining enrollment in the colleges and universities.
Yeah, Javen, if
Alright,
I
that's
may, no,
Also,
Javen,
and also
yeah,
yes,
And
Doc, go
also, it
ahead.
should be
Javen,
both private and public.
Yes, Doc.
statistics, Javen, ang hinahanap namin.
Alright, sure,
Maybe
Doc.
should have, wala kang statistics, they're all very, sinabi mo there's shrinking enrollment. Do you have any evidence, like for example, CHED figures,
Descriptive.
DepEd figures,
Alright.
Metro Manila enrollment figures. Wala kang statistics eh. Yun ang wala, no? That's really part of the background of the study, Javen.
Alright, that's noted, Doc. That and our dear panelists.
Okay, Engineer Ped, go ahead, please.
Okay, you can add that in your final paper. Now, next slide. That one is okay. Next slide. Okay, next slide. On the objectives. Yeah, that's one. You have a very good objective. I just want to, I'm also curious, how will you measure the output of that objective? Like, for example, we understand the SMART objective, and objective must be measurable. How would you be, what is your thinking about how will you be able to measure this research objective? So
Okay.
that you will be having a clear answer in your recommendation and conclusion.
Yeah, as mentioned, the engineer paired with the title. So the result of this would really be a strategic marketing plan, aligning it to the segments, no, like the result of the study.
But before you can create a strategic marketing plan, there must be a basis based on your study, based on your
Yes, engineer paired.
SOP. And that one is very important. And if it's just a qualitative objective and you cannot measure it, then that objective is meaningless.
Yes, in the engineer paired. That's why in this study, this is a quantitative study. So technically, I will be measuring the different variables mentioned, no, in relation to the enrollment intention. And then at the same time, the result
That
of
would be
this would really be,
your quantitative SOPs.
yes, engineer paired.
Okay, but this one,
All right. Sorry.
okay,
Yes po, Doc.
okay. Next slide. Now, your number one is demographics. Your SOP number one is demographics.
Yes.
Are you thinking to produce a data for a public school and private school?
Yes, like identifying, kasi one of my questions in the SOP engineer ped is to check whether there's a significant difference between the students who are from public school and choosing the school, and at the same time students who are from private school and choosing the school. So something like that.
Do you know how many grade 11 in NCR and grade 12?
Oh, that engineer ped will be added into the background of my study. As you mentioned, I think that was mentioned
Even that should
earlier.
also be part of the computation of your sample rate. That's the reason.
That is
That's one of the things that we are
that
looking for.
that
All
would
right.
be my next question. You know,
Yes,
you need
the
to
sample.
understand and compute the number of senior high school, grade 11 and grade 12 in NCR. And based on my own research, there are thousands of senior high school in NCR. Therefore, if you will compute the so-called sample size, there is a basis because if you go to
Yes.
Philippine Statistic Commission or Authority, you can get the number of grade 11 and grade 12 all over NCR. And using Slovene formula, you can be able to determine the number of sample size. That's why I'm thinking that the result of that computation is very big. That's why
Yes.
the geographical area for the sample NCR is too big. Maybe you can check whether a certain portion in NCR or Metro Manila that you can get, like south
Yeah.
of Manila.
Actually, Engineer Ped, I did, I did check on that. And of course, as you mentioned, it's really a big population for a whole Metro Manila. And I was thinking Muntiparlas. So if you are familiar with the Muntinlupa,
Yeah, that
Parañaque,
would
and
be
Las
fine.
Piñas.
Because there was a student before that we tried NCR, but the respondents are not answering. That's why we just went to the south of Manila and
All
we were
right.
able to get the data.
All right, Engineer Ped.
Okay?
We'll do
Maybe
that.
you can change your Metro
Yes.
Manila to Muntiparlas
It's a
because
big,
there are a lot of schools in south of Manila, both private and public,
yes.
right?
Yes po.
Okay. Now, your SOP 1, 2, and 3. Uh, how will you measure the SOP number 2?
Let us go to my chapter 3. Here, Engineer Ped, the weighted mean and the standard deviation.
You use Likert
Likert. Yes
scale.
po.
Okay. Okay, that would be fine. Let's go back to after that SOP, SOP 2. Okay. 3 and 4, no problem. Now, next slide. Now, your hypothesis. There was a time Dean Vic told me that Southville will only deal on null hypothesis. This time, you're the first student
Yun. Bakit null
that
hypothesis tayo, Jillian?
use
Yeah, I'm
alternative
actually happy to
hypothesis.
share that based on my RRL, sir, Doc Vic and all the panelists, that there's a significant difference. So that's why I use the alternative hypothesis of
No,
using
but
the there.
but the standard is always negative. It's null for
All
Southville.
right.
Di
Okay,
ba?
Doc. Yes, po.
And then you are already based on your research, your RRL, you're already making a conjecture that there is a significant difference. Don't you think that you are moving ahead of your study? That you're already saying that there is a significant difference?
Yeah, that's based on my
But that's
RRL.
based on RRL, but that's not
Yes.
based on your research. So I think that's going beyond. You're already assuming that that's the conclusion.
There
But
is already a
in your
conclusion.
research, there's always, it's supposed to be null. That's the
All right.
standard that we use in Southville, di ba? We know that. You know that, no? That it's null. There is no significant relationship. There is no significant difference. We don't use the alternative. It's
All right.
always,
That's
that's why it's
noted, Doc.
HO. It's HO1, HO2. The HO is
Is
there is
null.
no null. H1 is alternative.
Yeah. All right, that's noted, Doc, and Engineer Ped and panelists.
Okay, next slide. Now, your theoretical framework, no? You mentioned about these 4 factors. In my experience interviewing some of the students in Southfield, usually I ask them where they, why is it that you enroll in Southfield? Now, they always mentioning because they live near to Southville. Aside from Southville is a prestigious international school, they also consider the distance. And of course, in Southville, most of the students can afford the tuition fee of Southville. Now, I'm thinking of public school because in the public school, most of those students that can no longer continue their second year, third year, and fourth year usually transfer in public state college and university. Main reason is that the cost of education in the state college and university is somehow lower compared with private school. That's why in these four factors, I'm just thinking whether the financial capability and also the distance of the school matters in terms of enrollment. Because cognitive and hedonic are psychological, while social media and UGMC are marketing tools in order to attract students. But financial capability and also distance are also matters because even me, no, I did when I was entering college. There is a UST there. I passed the entrance examination, but I prefer Mapua because it's very near in our place. Plus, the financial capability, the tuition fee in UST is 3 times as the tuition fee in Mapua. That's why I went to Mapua because of those two factors. What do you think, Jeben?
Yeah, that's why, sir, as mentioned in my paper, that I will be adopting the comprehensive consumer behavior framework of then these authors. This is just recently conducted, and they use this following independent variables. So I will stick to these variables, sir, like focusing on the psychological and the digital aspect of in choosing or influencing, driving Gen Z in choosing the school for a higher education institution.
You know, when you are talking of service business like school, you need to use 7 Ps. Now, one problem in a service are facilities like there are many students in Southville that are using their own cars, but they do not have, Southville do not have enough parking. Meaning to say, if that 7 Ps is not complete, there is a tendency that the student will not enroll in that school. That's why if you will only consider these four factors, is not complete. There are still other factors for students to enroll. Not only, even though the content of the marketing tools are all okay, there is really very good, very prestigious, but the facilities of the school is not good. They will not enroll in that school.
Sir, if I may add to the informations, that is an example of a user-generated content. So if there
Okay.
are a lot of, okay, if you are to go to the definition of the user-generated communication content, okay, let us go to that. The user-generated or the UGMC, technically, sir, these are us, all of us. Okay, so we can post about, for example, since we're talking about Southville, since we're in Southville, all of us can post about Southville, anything good or anything bad about Southville. Those are part of the user-generated content. And that adds into the decision making of all these students who are scouting for a school. So for example, Engineer Ped, let me use you as an example. Now, based on your social media postings and Facebook, you are posting good things about Southville, and that is an example of a user-generated content. You are talking about Southville. It's not Southville talking about Southville. So that means you are influencing, you are giving information, good informations to other people who are your friends. So technically, if a lot of our students are posting good about Southville or posting good about their best experiences, then they can definitely be an added good user-generated content about the school. And
Yeah.
also, for the social media influencer, there are a lot of people, especially those students with good following, like a lot of following. We have a lot of students here in Southville with 1 million followers. If they posted about Southville, bad thing about Southville, heavy traffic in Southville, as you mentioned, located the location, then that can also be another part. So that can be considered under these two digital footprints.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jeben, with that factors. But your output is strategic marketing plan. When you are talking of strategic, it's a long-term strategy. Therefore, you need to make use of the 7 Ps, wherein the physical evidence, the 7 factors that are needed in order to come up with the strategic marketing plan will be initiated by the institution. Or else, any one of those 7 Ps that are not met, there is a tendency that a student will transfer to other school.
Okay, sir. If I may ask, if I may answer that, since I will
Mm.
be focusing already on Monte Parlas, so I believe that location is already near Southville. So I believe that that would answer into the physical evidence or like the location that you're mentioning.
Okay. Next slide.
So this one, so I'll just change it later on into the Monte Parlas.
Okay. Next slide. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. Oh, this one, significance of the study. I'm just thinking, why did you not include parents?
All right.
Diba? Your
Yeah.
customer are the parents. That you have mentioned are the secondary customers. Your number one customer are parents. They are the one that will finance the education of their children. Now, if the so-called result of the study is positive, then they are convinced that they will enroll their children in that institution.
Yeah, that's noted. Engineer Ped will include as
Okay,
well.
next slide. Okay, in your review of related literature, there are more foreign literature compared with the local.
Local. Yes, that's
And
correct.
somehow you need to add more the perception of the Filipino writers in terms of your study.
Yeah, we'll look into more of that, Engineer Ped, because as mentioned in my study, there are not much no in the Philippines. So yeah, we'll look into more of that, Engineer Ped.
Yeah. Now, if you will not uh, after your checking, there's still no literature, then you can just add it in your scope and
Okay,
limitation.
yeah, that's noted though. That's right.
Diba? Now, next slide. That's only my comment. Let's go to research methodology. Now, your quantitative aspect is well noted. I'm just curious on the sample size that you
Yes.
will be taking care of, because
Yes.
you mentioned about uh, purposive sampling. You can get the total grade 11 and grade 12 in Muntiparlas. That would
Yes.
be your population. And using Slovene formula, you can get the you can already get the so-called sample size. And then from that sample size, you can already use your questionnaires, and then give it to your respective respondent.
All right, no. Um,
Okay.
what I will do first is get the statistics of the number of students grades 11 and 12 here in Monte Parlas.
Right. That's very important. And also declining. Are all school in Monteparlas declining, or there are only courses that are declining? Because as for example, why is it that Southville added a lot of classroom for nursing? You don't need the marketing tools for nursing. They have added so many classrooms. They even use CISPO classroom for nursing. Therefore, there is no problem in enrollment in nursing. Or
Yeah, but
maybe
of
in
course, sir, it should be
psychology.
balanced. It should be balanced
Uh,
apart from the nursing, like all the
no,
other programs as well.
in business, if a product or service is booming, then usually the entrepreneur or owner will prioritize when there is a saying that strike the iron while it is hot. Now, sales revenue will be coming from nursing. Then you need to prioritize nursing. And at the same time, if there are courses that are a little bit lower than the expected, then the marketing must also focus in maximizing the so-called enrollment in that course. Diba?
Yes,
That's
sir.
Pareto analysis. We call it Pareto analysis. Okay. Next slide. In your questionnaire, no problem with your instrument that instrumentation, no? Then
Yes,
from that instrumentation you have questionnaires, like for example demographic, you have 6 item, 4 item. Are your questionnaires per criteria have those kind of numbers?
yes, Engineer Pen,
Can
yes.
you show again the your questionnaires, like for example for the
Yeah,
first
actually,
cognitive
this is the breakdown,
oh,
Engineer
okay,
Pen.
okay,
Yes.
okay, okay, okay. That's all, Dinvik. Thank
Yeah,
you,
thank you so
Jben.
much.
Sige,
Thank you so
okay.
much, Engineer Pen.
Errol, your turn, please.
Yes. I the title actually it's really ano, no, catchy. But my question is it really a academically precise? Because when you use ano tara in a graduate level study, I understand that ano tara is a Gen Z colloquial phrase. It is used as a contextual hook, right? To reflect the authentic linguistic culture of Filipino Gen Z digital discourse based on your presentation. Yeah. Again, I have reservation on that. Now, do you consider your study, your paper, an MBA level and not simply an education or communication study?
I believe, sir, this is an MBA paper because again, the result of this will be used, as a strategic marketing plan. And if I may add into the background that where I'm currently working at, technically it will really help, like strategically on how we can position Southville since I'm working for Southville. So how we can position Southville into the current generation, which is Gen Z.
The the intention of marketing plan is an institutional planning. For an MBA level,
Sir, sorry, let
there
me
should
add,
be a theory building. Yeah,
okay,
there is
yes.
the focus is on the theory building, empirical testing, and model validation rather than implementation planning. So that can be done kasi the implementation planning can be done. In fact, can be done in one subject lang. Diba? I'm looking for probably a model that you can come up with your study.
A model
Right?
like what, Doc Errol?
I don't know, but based on the discussions, it seems that the study of Raza et al. really on the behavioral consumer behavior, right? So it could be more of a behavioral and structural model of Gen Z. Connecting it to the decision to enroll rather than an institutional execution blueprint, right? But okay, I'm just curious with the questions earlier and your answers to the questions about the public and private. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So why did you treat public and private school students as your only segmentation variable? Why not income level or academic track?
Like for if we are to measure, kasi sir, like I don't think the Generation Z will be releasing that information in terms of like the income.
Yeah, isa pa yan. Okay. So, actually, this is really for HEI, higher education, right?
Yes.
Institutions, HEI. Yeah. But who are your respondents?
I'm sorry, Doc.
Who are your respondents?
Grade 11 and grade 12 who are deciding or thinking about where to go or which school to go.
But do they have the decision? Do they have this uh the power at the end of the day?
Yes. I'm saying yes,
Mhm.
Doc Errol, because I'm in the marketing department. I'm in the recruitment team of Southwell, and I've encountered so many decisions, that is really by the student, and then the parents will just support. So I believe I'd like to add this statement as well,
Um,
that comparing it to what happened before, that the parents are the ones choosing the school for the kids. This time around, it is the kids who are helping the student navigate in choosing the school.
Okay, then
So that's the difference.
is that
I-
a theory or a conjecture on your part?
yes, exactly. That's my point. Okay, you believe
It's
so,
not
but
a theory.
do you have
It's not
any
a yeah.
empirical data to support your conjecture? Conjecture.
Alright.
Oh. Diba?
Support.
Everything must be based on stats, Javen. No, I mean it may be different. You've been going around, you've been seeing them. They could be saying yes, but I will also, if I made the error, no, you have to consider the purchasing decision
Yeah, go ahead.
process. The purchasing decision process. They may have said yes, but the parents, since they will be the ones to pay, will have something to say about that. So basically, alam natin yan. We've been talking about that. So yun lang ang point. Medyo I tend to agree with Doc
Yes.
Errol.
That
Yeah, I'll just
it,
provide data with that, Doc Errol, if that's needed.
it's basically that there is a difference between consumer and customer. You know what's the difference?
Yes.
Okay. And based on your study, who are your who is the consumer and who is the customer?
Yeah, consumers here are the students.
The
Customers,
students.
yes,
So why customers are the parents or
yes,
the one who has the purchasing power, right?
yes.
Now, why did you consider the parents as the customer?
Because, sir, number one, my study is we're talking about Gen Z.
Okay, customers,
Yes.
okay. So in other words, the customers are the ones going to pay, but not necessarily is going to consume. right? Okay. Now, your respondents are minors. So how will you address ethics here?
Oh, actually, sir, it's part of my paper. So there's a part of the ethical considerations. Okay, so if you can, okay, hold on, let me just run through that.
Please explain, Javen.
No, there already no need to run through, but you can explain it.
Okay, so there will be a consent process, sir. Okay,
Mhm.
so that will transparently outline how the data will add to the existing literature. So that, sir, will be before they answer, there should be a consent.
Okay. So there will be a consent. Okay.
Yes.
Now, earlier I asked that public and private. Okay. Is school type a valid proxy for socioeconomic status?
I'm sorry, Doc.
School type, public and private, is school type a valid proxy for socioeconomic status?
Yeah. Yes.
Hmm. Right?
Yes, Doc.
So,
So,
isn't it
but it's like there are no in this paper naman, Doc, there are no discriminations. It's just like just merely checking in terms of how um these factors will be how these factors will influence students from these two categories or sectors.
okay? Next
Like
is, how do you
like
justify excluding yung STEM, ABM, ano pa yun?
Humes.
gas,
Yung
UMS.
how do you call that?
Humes.
They call it they call it
HUMSS.
Yums,
yes, UMS. Yeah, they call
as
it
grouping
strands.
variable. Mhm. So how do you justify excluding them as grouping variables?
Oh, okay. Doc Errol, there's already a new, how do you call it? Like from DepEd that they're no longer using the strands. Okay.
Approved na
So,
ba yun?
yes, sir. Like kasi for Southville, we're doing it na in other schools.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you what else? So, my question now again is, I'm just really on the public-private. Suppose if there's no significant difference between public and private students, what does that imply about your entire segmentation argument?
Then like for example, Doc, in creating the marketing plan, so that means I don't need to segment and how we convey the messaging.
Mhm.
Yes, so that means if, for example, on a specific post, I don't need to segment because there's no significant difference. So that means either way, if the student is from public or private school, they get the same message.
What is the theoretical basis for expecting differences between public and private schools?
Actually, Doc Errol, that was my contribution to Raza et al. 2022 into their framework. So that we can technically that's really my
Contribution? Is this an assumption, evidence-based, or just intuition?
it's like ano, Doc, I'll be honest with you. It's like I added it into the framework so that there's a personal intention that we wanted or that I wanted as part of marketing to check whether like in terms of as mentioned earlier the messaging if there's a difference between the two. If there is, then that means like for a marketing people there should be a segmenting. No, we have to segment on how we message or how we convey the message to these two segments. Yes,
Um,
that's and I just
you
added that concept or idea into the framework.
uh, suppose all your hypotheses are supported. What new knowledge is actually created beyond confirming the marketing efforts enrollment? Or marketing, beyond confirming that marketing affects basically your dependent variable mo of enrollment.
Yeah, actually, as mentioned earlier, Doc Errol, no, there are really no much studies about comparative analysis between these public from students from public schools and private schools. So I believe this paper or this study will contribute to that idea if there are other people as well, no other future researchers who will be studying the same thing. So
Another, you have your theoretical framework, right? And based on your paper, you combine the source credibility theory, signaling theory, social identity theory, and TAM. Do you think it's theoretical overload?
I'm sorry, Doc. Can you repeat your question?
You have so many theories in your RRL or theoretical framework. Were you able to connect all these things in your study?
Wait, I am looking at my theoretical frameworks. Doc is only mentioning
You
about.
have you mentioned about source credibility theory, right? You mentioned also signaling theory, social identity theory, and TAM.
I'm not sure, Doc, if we are looking at the same paper. Because I'm looking at my.
Can you look at, can you show your theoretical framework on the slide? Just for us to have a know. That's the one? Errol, ito ba sinasabi mo? Yeah, okay, sige. Let's see that. Let's look at it. Let's discuss that. Let's look at it here with this visual.
Hindi ko na doon ako sa
yung pinagkuhanan daw niyan,
yung pinagkuhanan niya. Yeah.
Error. Saan ang galing yan?
Ilang theories ang ginamit mo? Javen?
Sorry, Doc.
How many theories did you use? Is this a theoretical framework or a conceptual framework?
This is a theoretical framework.
Why do you consider it a theoretical framework? Because you did not make it? It came from a different study?
Adapted it, Doc, and then.
When you adapt it, what are the elements that you included?
The factors, Doc, the factors.
Oh,
and
then
then
if you adapted it, then it becomes a conceptual framework. A theoretical framework is the foundation. Yan tinatanong Doc Errol, no? When you change the framework of a previous study, it becomes a conceptual framework. It's not a theoretical framework. Pinag-aralan ni Doc Chit yan, di ba? A theory becomes the foundation of your study.
Conceptual.
This is where you get the elements of your conceptual framework and you try to understand the relationships of the different variables in your conceptual framework. For example, did you use the TAMs? Did you mention the term TAM? That has always been a very often quoted theory, technical adaptation method or theory of technical adaptation. Planned behavior theory.
Theory
These
of planned
are-
behavior.
Yeah, planned behavior theory. These are theories that have been brought across by previous studies, by previous, and you use it to form your conceptual framework. So this is not a theoretical framework. This is your
Conceptual.
this is your diagram. You
Conceptual.
made this. Kasi lumabas lumabas ka theoretical framework ka agad yan. So I was looking for your conceptual framework. Lumalabas, ito pala conceptual framework mo.
All right, Doc.
Di ba?
Yes, Doc. And Doc Errol and Doc Mita. That's noted.
So go back,
I would
Doc
like
Errol,
to,
sorry ha, just to be
yeah,
able to,
it's
ako rin
all right, it's
naguluhan
all right.
kanina, sabi ko, theoretical, kaya hinahanap yung theory ni Rasa eh. Hindi ko makuha yung, ito ba yung theory ni Rasa or ano? Anyway, sige, go ahead please.
Yeah. I would like to follow up the question of Engineer Ped as to the marketing mix. You know very well that you have underwent marketing management. My question is it possible to come up with a strategic marketing plan without considering the marketing mix? The earlier mentioned by Engineer Ped, whether it's 4Ps or 7Ps.
Yeah, again, Engineer Doc Errol, like based on like the social media influence and user-generated social media communication that can be they can get that information through here. So if you get what I mean, if that's an example, into an example of a UGMC. Like for example, like one content talking about the location of the school and the pricing of the school. Okay, just in one post, just a single post about like their experience in school, and this is how much is tuition fee, you know what, Southwell is located in Las Piñas. So those things can be under this, the user-generated social media communication, and that can be used in the, as you mentioned, Doc Errol, into 4Ps or 7Ps, for that matter.
So, in the 7Ps, what did you not consider based on your study?
Sorry, Doc, I didn't get that right.
In the 7Ps, what are the the factors in the marketing mix that you did not consider? Did not consider it.
Hold on, I'm trying to understand your question, Doc Errol. Like, did I consider the 7Ps?
Did not consider among the 7Ps.
What did I not consider in the 7Ps? In the factors?
The marketing mix, yeah.
Yeah.
The 7Ps. Oh.
Yeah,
7
I
Ps, you
believe
know that, di ba? Product,
yes,
price,
yes,
place.
Doc.
So what are the
Place, promotion.
factors that you did not consider in the in your study?
Yeah, it's more of like the price, Doc Errol, more of like the price. But as again, as mentioned, even for a social media influencer and user-generated content, they can even mention and even how the brand, like for example, Southville will always say that it's expensive. So that means there's that presence already of the pricing. And the for location, as mentioned earlier, that can be mentioned into the user-generated social media communication, and based on that, the location, no, the location of the or the inclusion, no, or the geographical location of this one will be Monteparlas. So I believe no, all the 7Ps, Doc Errol will be covered, even though not much of, as mentioned earlier, like in terms of the price, the pricing.
So, but do you think that's a valid factor in the strategic marketing plan?
Yes, Doc. Let me like for example, let me give you an example of like in terms of the brand image or the hedonic brand image. If we, if we talk about like for example Southville, so the connotation is the brand that that pops into students'